By the summer of 1940, the Nazi war machine consumed most of Western Europe, stopping only when it reached the shores of the English Channel. Hitler's ultimate goal was Operation Sea Lion, a massive amphibious invasion of the British Isles. But German planners knew that crossing those waters would be suicidal without first securing total control of the skies. The Luftwaffe's specific mission was to systematically bomb British shipping, coastal defenses, and airfields, grinding down the Royal Air Force's resources until they physically couldn't fly anymore. Britain faced a terrifying numerical disadvantage. The upcoming battle wasn't just a fight for territory, it was a fatal problem of daily burn rates. If the RAF lost pilots and aircraft as fast as the attacking Germans, they would run out of resources before the first landing craft even left France. To survive this equation of attrition, the outnumbered RAF had to rely on a few hidden systemic advantages to perfectly optimize every aircraft they had. When you're the underdog, you have a massive logistical problem. You can't afford to keep fighters constantly patrolling the air, waiting for random attacks. That burns through limited fuel and pilot endurance far too quickly. Britain solved this with coastal early warning radar stations, buying the RAF time. This data fed rapidly into Central Command, allowing for highly efficient, targeted scrambling. Instead of random patrols, the RAF launched fighters at the exact moment needed. An entire human infrastructure processed this raw data, turning abstract radar pings into real-time physical battle maps. Inside these hubs, conditions were intense and claustrophobic. Operators worked through the pressure of multiple overlapping raids, managing a sophisticated technological shield across the coastline. This system acted as a mathematical force multiplier. It ensured that every gallon of fuel and every pilot hour was spent actively engaging the enemy in the sky. Beyond radar, the RAF benefited from the simple geographical reality of fighting directly over home turf. The logistical pipelines for downed pilots were asymmetrical. A German pilot bailing out over England became a permanent loss, a prisoner of war. But an RAF pilot bailing out over a local farm could be reseated in a new aircraft within days. This constant recycling of talent relied on a diverse pool of airmen, including British, Commonwealth, and vital Polish volunteers, all flying iconic machines like the Spitfire and the equally vital, rugged Hawker Hurricane. But by late August 1940, even these brilliant systems were hitting their limit. The Luftwaffe's relentless volume of attacks on airfields was finally starting to outpace Britain's ability to repair and recover. Despite their efficiency, the sheer math of Germany's attrition strategy was working. Fighter command was being pushed to the very edge of systemic collapse. Then, a retaliatory RAF raid on Berlin triggered a deeply emotional and catastrophic strategic error. In early September, Adolf Hitler made a fateful pivot. Germany abandoned its near-successful targeting of military airfields to instead begin bombing London and other major cities, attempting to break British morale through civilian terror. This change in strategy had an unintended logistical consequence. It immediately lifted the pressure off fighter command, giving the battered airfields the crucial time they needed to repair their infrastructure. Throughout September and October, a newly recovered RAF inflicted unsustainable losses on the German bomber formations tangled in the skies above the cities. By trading a methodical strategy of attrition for a psychological terror campaign, Germany accidentally saved the very air force it had been so close to destroying. With air superiority out of reach, the invasion was quietly postponed and then shelved entirely. Because Britain survived 1940, it remained an independent, heavily fortified base of operations right on the doorstep of occupied Europe. Without this staging ground, launching the massive D-Day invasion 4 years later would have been physically impossible. History remembers the campaign through Churchill's tribute to the few, but it was the mastery of the grim equation of attrition that ultimately made the liberation of Europe possible.